Welcome to Tell Me Your Story, New Paradigms for a New World. I'm Richard Dugan, your host, and it is always a pleasure to have you with us, as well as our very special guest on this special edition of Tell Me Your Story every Wednesday at 9 a.m. Lumari, Lumari.com is the website, and we're going to wrap things up, ladies and gentlemen, with Lumari and her book. Not with Lumari on this segment. She's going to continue on with us for a while. We're going to continue wrapping things up here with Living Inspired with Lumari. And Lumari, I have to tell you, weather can do that. We've had some beautiful weather here on the Central Coast, especially considering that a week ago when you and I were talking, we were dealing with a wildfire. But you know what's funny? This is the inspiring part. It's been clear blue skies. I haven't seen, there's a camera that's mounted on the mountain facing the fire. There hasn't been any smoke. I've seen it. It's not out. Don't get me wrong. Don't anybody get excited. It just means that the weather has tamped down and the fire's laying down and they're getting control over it. And I'm just looking at the blue skies going, wow, this feels good. And it's cool in the 50s at night. So, hey, welcome to my inspired world, Lumari.
Fantastic. I'm so happy to be here, Richard. Happy to share this wisdom and this fun with everybody. And, of course, our connection is just divine.
Yeah, it's exciting, and it is divine, yes, indeed. Well, folks, before we really jump in here, of course, as I said before, we're going to be talking about Living Inspired with Lumari. We're wrapping things up. Going to go through quite a number of the chapters, but before we do that, I want to let you folks know that Lumari serves as a catalyst, a guide, an inspiration for personal and planetary transformation, as well as evolution and awakening. Fusing her many spiritual gifts, Lumari channels the highest vibrations, Akashic, the Akashic knowledge, the knowing, I should say, clear vision, psychic and practical wisdom, and guiding her client, if you choose to contact her through Lumari.com, and the community to continue to reach new heights of awakening, alignment, to align with your higher soul's calling. And you also want to you'll learn how to live lives of fulfillment, joy, creativity, success, and make a positive difference in our world. And through that process, she also provides you with a free gift. That's right. It's a free gift from Lumari at lumari.com/sacred space. It's a personal sacred space meditation, which helps you feel clear and whole, connected to your deeper self, and in touch with your own energy, vision, and purpose. And Living Inspired with Lumari, it will engage the lights of awakening, revelation, and transformation. It's, of course, available at Amazon.com as well. And so what we're going to do here, folks, is we're going to go through the chapters that we looked at when we started all of this. And, of course, just a cursory here, Lumari, as we jump into part one, awaiting the brilliance with the divine invitation. So just give us a quick rundown.
Well, what is really amazing about it, and this has guided me to write a variety of different books, because I love the energies of the wisdom, the sacred, the inspiration, the guidance. And I've been doing this with clients and writing and creating meditations and all of this really for a long time. And so this inspires me in people's lives and the shifts they can make when they connect with their true inspiration and their soul energy and move in those directions. I'm inspired by working with them, and I help them be inspired in their life. So Living Inspired with Lumari is kind of, that's what we do. We engage the lights of awakening, revelation, and transformation. It's the art, A-R-T, of living inspired. And working from the beginning of this, talking about awaiting the brilliance of one dream, it's about connecting to divine inspiration in a way that really honors the inspiration you receive. Because whether you're having inspiration to do something, which is to create something, be something, lead something, change something, or you're receiving that divine inspiration as personal guidance, many conversations in this world minimize what inspiration really is.
Interesting. Well, I like the aspect as we start here, specifically of this whole concept of connecting with the divine, the true source of, well, everything, but getting an invitation. It's not one of those things where, well, why didn't I get an invitation? Oh, must have got lost in the mail. Not in this case. It's there for you. And then you move on to the process of living inspired, which is for a lot of folks a new concept that changes how you view and pursue inspiration. And with this wisdom and discovery, you actively pursue inspiration instead of waiting for it to happen.
Yes. And I would technically say amen as long as it doesn't mean anything to anybody.
I love it. I love it.
Because the thing is, with inspiration, people seem to think, and we're trained this way, so part of writing this book and revealing all of this to everybody is because I want to break apart these illusions. Like that you're going to sit there and wait for inspiration to come to you. And it might. Of course, there are people who've waited years for inspiration or months for inspiration instead of actively pursuing it. You want to follow what inspires you. You want to connect with what inspires you. You want to look at it. You want to engage it. And while we know that inspiration is a gift, because I call it the divine invitation, the divine is showing up and saying, excuse me, darling, look at this. This is for you. I'm connecting with you about this. Most people don't pursue it.
Mm-hmm.
They just go, oh, cool. I got inspired by this. I did this, and then they kind of let it go. It's like, no. You want to engage it. You want to. The universe, the divine, is sharing inspiration with you, and you want to have a connection so that those energies, the spiritual guidance, the blessings, the inspiration is part of your life, not an event that dissipates in a while and you don't have it anymore. I mean, everyone, imagine what your life would be like if you weren't just waiting for something to happen, you were pursuing it. The inspiration is part of your everyday life.
That's cool. That is very cool. I also love this part too, about the acronyms that people come up with. You came up with this in regards to, of course, awakening, revelation, and transformation. The art of living inspired, which is an active experience of divine message. It's so much more than is it's a whole lot more art. Again, it's awakening, revelation, and transformation. And I keep wanting to ask you the question, so how'd you come up with this? But this was given to you.
It was my conversation. So how I work, and so everybody understands, okay, I'm a conscious channel, which means I receive guidance and information from many different sources, the divine, angels, divine beings, other beings. There's a whole list. We all laugh about that when they're sitting on the couch with me. And I connect in a variety of different ways. So when I'm working with my clients, I'm actually receiving guidance for them as well as the knowing that I have. And so when I was tuning into how can I explain inspiration in a way that people can see it, it's not something fleeting. And so awakening was, okay, a new energy captures your attention. And all of a sudden it grabs you and something inside of you awakens. You have a new perspective. You have a new understanding. It shifts in you. And so, like I like to say, the awakening is the aha. It's like a fun, surprise, right? And you just move into that and go, oh, okay, this is something new for me, or a different way of looking at it, or something in those lines, which makes a difference in what awakening is. Because something in you awakens. And I'm not saying that it was necessarily asleep, but you didn't know it was there, or you didn't know it was there in the right way. And you could just open your eyes and go, oh, it's like this is an aha moment. Does that make sense?
It does indeed. And we have those quite often, sometimes though we don't recognize them as aha moments, which I suppose on the one hand is okay. I mean, I still think about that in terms of, like my mother asking me, did you ever have any supernatural experiences? And I said, well, if I did, I didn't know that's what they were. It was just kind of like what was happening. But that's when we kind of need to really be in that space, in that zone to receive the inspiration through these aspects, and being awakened, being open to receive the revelation, and then in the process going through the transformation. Another aspect that I think is a lot of fun too, because I'm always loving talking about the multidimensional stuff, and in this case it's the multidimensional flow of inspiration, which is the evolution of inspiration, and we engage in the vision and our path, our vision and path.
Yeah. Well, and the thing that's wonderful for all of us in that is that part of my inspiration to write the book about inspiration is that when we pay more attention, we see more. So when things happen to you and you become inspired or curious or want to follow something that's tickling you, you become more aware of it. So your awakening continues to awaken. And then you can see more about it. So again, when I say that a lot of people and a lot of the conversations about inspiration are kind of fleeting and they're not well respected and honored, but if you're paying attention to that, so many different things can show up that they wouldn't show up, not because they aren't there, but because you haven't awakened and paid attention. It's a whole other thing. And then when you're paying attention, that's when you can have revelation.
How about the aspect of dealing with these multi-dimensions, the multi-dimensional flow? Does that have anything to do whatsoever with what a lot of folks talk about in terms of, other forms of existence or other timelines or anything of that nature? Or this is strictly the multidimensional flow in regards to inspiration, that through the various dimensions we receive the inspiration?
Well, ask it in another way.
Okay. All right. Is that which we are inspired by coming from different dimensions that we can know, so to speak, what they are? And again, I hate putting labels on things, but all right, multi-dimensions. Let's say you got 5. Each one is providing inspiration from a different perspective. Is that really what this is talking about, as opposed to some portal that we walk through to go to another dimension?
Well, I would say it's a blend, because everybody is perceiving things in different ways. So when you're looking at things, so using examples, right? Mm-hmm. Some people are going to be inspired, and it's going to be something that they've seen or felt or know. You could look at it as happening on this world. And I'm not necessarily describing our world as only three-dimensional, but I'm just calling it our world. Mm-hmm. You could be sitting there, and the sunrise just moves you to tears for whatever reason. You may not cry at every sunrise, but this particular one moves you in some way. Now, it did happen in this reality, and yet the higher levels of your soul and your being also connected to that event that inspired you and moved you. Now, being aware of certain things, so for me, I'm traveling in a whole bunch of different dimensions at once.
Okay.
And so I can have a conversation in one level and then a perception in another level and then look off into the distance in another dimension and have a perception there. And then, I like to, say that I have my cosmic party where I invite all these different beings and we all sit down and drink whatever we drink and have conversations about things. Now, that's me. And I'm in a whole other reality of those things, and I know that. Now, for other people, you may still be receiving guidance from other beings. You may be receiving guidance or inspiration from someone who's passed that you dearly love. You may be receiving inspirations from higher realms. You may be able to perceive things in different ways that other people don't look at it that way. And so you may be looking through a different dimension or a different perception that isn't commonly known. That's just a few things of how many different ways we can receive inspiration. And of course, the important thing, like we've talked about, is paying attention to it, not blowing it off.
Mm-hmm.
Not going, oh, isn't that cool? I just thought of, how to change mathematics so everybody could do it. No, that's what? You don't think that's amazing? You're changing math? Yeah, sit down and write stuff.
Yeah.
And I don't change math. That's just what came up.
Yeah, really. Well, it's funny. Go ahead.
So I said, Albert Einstein's always teasing me, so that probably came from him.
Well, it's funny, too, because there was this equation that was posted. It's a simple equation, and it was, I think it would classify as an algebraic equation. Very simple, no variables. It was all numbers. And I answered the question. I did the math, and I came up with my answer. And other people came up with different answers. And I'm going, okay, this is interesting. That means that they're viewing this mathematical equation. Each of them is seeing it differently. So I figured, oh, what the heck? So I took the equation and I inputted it into Google.
Right.
And Google came up with the correct answer. And then it reminded me of the protocols in algebra.
Ah.
Yeah. And I thought, okay, if you ignore the protocols, the answer is still correct because I don't care about the protocols. But if you recognize and use the protocols, then the answer is not what you came up with before. And I thought, okay, I'm okay with that. I'm learning. Yeah. I'm still, and I'm being reminded. And that was what was really kind of interesting. And it was a fun thing. There was nobody that was all cranked out of shape or anything. It was just a fun thing for people to do online. And once in a while I respond to those. But to me it's really kind of cool to test oneself, if you will. And I don't necessarily mean with things of that nature. But sometimes when you're inspired to do something, it does sort of feel a little bit like you are being tested. Have you ever had that experience?
Well, I wouldn't say tested.
Okay.
I would say tweaked.
Okay.
I would challenged because I don't like that one either.
Okay.
That means pushing against something.
Ah.
I'm tweaked. I'm being like, oh, look at that. That's why I say the universe always calls me darling, right? Darling, look at that. Did you pay attention to that one? What do you think about... Oh, okay. Oh, all right. No, I didn't think that way. See? You should. Why? Because it's tickling your brain or tickling your soul. It's having you look at something in a new way. And we're on this planet to look at things in a new way.
Mm-hmm.
When we have these conversations, these global conversations, and we all have different ways of looking at things, but if we look at things and we go, okay, how come there's less water? I'm not judging one way or another.
Mm-hmm.
How come there's less water? Because there's more people need more water, not less water.
Right.
More plants need more water than less water. And obviously it has to be safe water. So, well, if that tickles you and that inspires you, because beautiful, clean drinking water is an amazing thing. In a crazy way, it's like a miracle. Because obviously not all planets have water, but almost everything on our planet needs water. Ooh, how does that inspire you? It could be anything. You could just be looking at it in a million different ways, but you could be inspired by water. And I'm only using that as an example because it already exists. So I'm not talking about music and art that doesn't exist yet, but we're going to put it on the planet, right?
Mm-hmm.
Developments and new things. This already exists. And how many different ways can we play? And when you look at that, the next part, of course, is the revelation. Okay, you were inspired, something awakened in you. What is going to be revealed to you now? Now, aging. Now that you're looking at it in a new way, what is the revelation? What is the vision, the understanding, the new expression that comes to you? I mean, you're being called. Inspiration is a calling.
Well, I'll tell you, this conversation that we're having here as we wrap up Living Inspired with Lumari is fascinating. We go on to part 2 as we continue here on Tell Me Your Story with Lumari and talking about about how we are to follow the light. And of course, we also are talking about vibrating into the tri-light, the experience, the light frequency of tri-light, and it is a threefold energy dynamic of, going back to art, awakening, revelation, and transformation.
Yes, and I want everybody to recognize the beauty that's there. So when we look at awakening, the tri-light, right? We look at awakening, and that captures your attention. And then the revelation, is kind of like the trumpet. Ta-da! Right? Mm-hmm. It reveals things. It tickles you. It says, hey, this is really here. Look at this. And then you have the transformation, because once you're engaged with that, things change. You yourself become altered. And then you have those moments where actually the inspiration does change you. It's not just a fleeting, isn't that cool, please, what else is on the menu? This is, you get changed. And so the 3 different lights, right, which is really fun, right? We have the sweet light. And the sweet light is inspiration, it's joy, elation, wonder, and delight. And you really feel that gladness. And you really feel that energy, the feelings that come together and bring inspiration to you. And it's something that's sweet.
Yeah. Well, I find it interesting that we talk about, multidimensional things. We talk about light, but I think that one of the most important aspects, or at least one of the aspects that is important too, is vibration, which light is, and so forth, and entering the 7 temples of vibrating light. And the first of those is the illumination.
Yes. And welcome to my temple.
Thank you.
So, illumination is inspiration. It brings you light and energy. So there's all different ways to experience this. And let's just say the universe, the illumination is the light within you and the light shining upon you. So you're not separated from the light. And then because of who you are, you resonate and vibrate and shine in a whole new way. And that in itself is life-changing. You know, one of the questions I ask in this is, what light-filled actions can you take to grow and move beyond your limitations? So it's a light question.
Mm-hmm.
Light is enlightening.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. And being open to that light, I think, is also extremely important because the next temple that we are going to go into, that we enter, is a temple of magnetism that attracts your attention and pulls your focus to whatever it lights up. Light is permeating these temples, folks. But this one is the temple of magnetism.
Yes, and so what is being attracted? So now with who you are and what you're resonating, you are a magnet. So you're attracting circumstances, events, insights to yourself, and it's a positive attraction. So because it's light, because it's inspiration, these are positive things that you're attracting to yourself. And the magnetism can be like a guidance system. You know, because technically, although you already know this about me, the mechanics and all that stuff,
Mm-hmm.
I don't understand it. But I know that, like, the directional things that people use in machines and guidance systems, they have magnets.
Right. Absolutely. They do.
They do.
They do.
And so why are you attracted to this? Why is it pulling you? Why are you playing there? You know, and so it's like it's attracting you for a reason. So when you're paying attention to the magnetism of it, you can start to see, oh, inspiration. I'm opening up. My vision is changing. I have more light. And now I'm being attracted to certain things
Mm-hmm.
that I was already attracted to, or maybe I wasn't. Or maybe I was attracted to them, but I didn't pay attention because people told me it wasn't that important. I should do something else. But now I really feel, no, I'm really attracted to this. This feels more me than anything that I've felt.
We move on to temple number 3, which is, and again, it's like these themes are throughout. There's no question, but for a very good reason. The reverberation, the temple of reverberation, which sends harmonic resources into the world, and your heartstrings echo your soul's purpose, and you are in the midst of a ripple effect. And when I described, you know, the last couple of days and looking up at the blue skies where we live as compared to the smoky skies, believe it or not, I got that. There was that feeling that is described here, and it just felt so good.
Yeah. Well, and like when you recognize that you have a resonance to yourself, right? So, like in very old times and kind of now, people say, well, it's not my vibe, all right? They'll look at it like, is it a good vibe or a bad vibe? Okay? But that's the resonance. So what are you resonating with?
Mm-hmm.
Not resonating to, but what are you resonating with? So your inspiration and your soul purpose are creating a symphony of vibration that waves through you, ripples out of you, affects the universe, affects your soul and your spirit. And it's just amazing. I mean, one of the things that's very interesting about musical instruments, which you know about, right,
Mm-hmm.
is pluck a string, and other things in the room will vibrate to that. Or you can, like, you know, flick or put your finger around the top of a glass, and it starts to resonate, and then the other glasses in the room will also resonate to those same notes. Well, this is reverberation. So you can be resonating and flowing in the energies of inspiration, and all of a sudden you're creating beauty, you're creating harmony. There's a theme within your energy that you're creating. And that resonance invites others to vibrate and connect with you. So now you're creating a whole other place to play.
You use that word a lot, play. And it seems to me that we, in our civilized world, we have really forgotten how to do that.
Yes.
Or we know how to do it, we've just forgotten to do it.
Yeah, I think you're right. And I think it's, it's always funny because I know, some of my clients always laugh at me when I say the word play while they're in the middle of something really intense. So my clients, we have a joke. It's like, so did you roll your eyes so far back that you fell off your chair when I said the word play?
Oh, that's funny. That's funny. I like that. We also deal with the other temples here, the Temple of Connection, which joins you to the elegant universal flow of kinship, relationship, and affinity. With that aspect of connection, Lumari, even when I see things that are a little off kilter, with other people, I really do try to remind myself that, that we're connected, that I almost to the extent that they are me and I am them. And not to judge, that they're having their experience. It's what they're doing, just like I'm having mine. There's no judgment there, and hey, more power to you if that's what you want to do. Just be careful, don't hurt yourself, that kind of thing, I think that is something too, especially when it comes to the concept of community, how important that is, or as I said here, kinship, relationship, as well as affinity.
Well, and the thing that's important, because we, on the highest level, we're all connected, period, the end. Mm-hmm. The air I breathe, where does it come from? What am I inhaling? Where did it come from? Yes, it came from my room, but then the air moved somewhere else, and then the air moved somewhere else, and I can be breathing air from South Africa. I don't know. But that's how connected we are. Every single person on this planet, whatever is going on, we're connected. Now, the good news about that is that's how much of a difference we can make with inspiration, because we can recognize the universal and beyond universal connection that we all have. So your vision can inspire other people's vision. And inspire other people's vision that you don't even know yet. Because it's resonating and it's connecting. And this connection embraces all of these different things, and you may not even understand how it manifests in other people's lives.
Yeah.
As an example, because we've shared before that I used to do sculpture. I have a sculpture that I did so many years ago. It's in a museum in Switzerland. My work, from when I was doing this, which was a way long time ago, is influencing people I will never know in Switzerland. Because they saw my work, they gave me a grant, they bought the piece, they put it in their museum. Now, it could be in the dungeon of the museum now, and it could be still hanging there. But that's just one piece from more than 20 years ago. It can still affecting people. And it's important to recognize that, because guess what? The work of Michelangelo, the work of Renoir, the music of Bach, we can go on, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's resonating. It's a vibration that's resonating and connecting people. How many millions of people have seen the paintings of Renoir? How many millions of people have heard Bach? Tons. We can't even count it.
Yeah.
And then it's all connected because, I can't think of a Bach, piece in the moment, the name of it, right?
Right.
But if it's played somewhere, and if it's televised, how many millions of people will know that song?
Yeah.
They'll all feel the same thing. It connects. It's the same thing. I can just say, okay, John Lennon's song Imagine. How many millions and millions of people have heard that song, and if it's playing, everyone is going to sing it.
Mm-hmm.
That's the universal connection we all have.
Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. We also are going to enter into the Temple of Creation, which embodies the brilliance of all in a fusion that comes fully alive with inspiration. I refer to God more often as creator. And so I find this particular temple interesting, and this is the Temple of Creation. But at the same time, and I've heard this analogy before, that there must have been a creator of some sort. Won't anthropomorphize them, because you take a look at any invention that you want, the car, the cell phone, the computer, whatever. There had to have been someone, in this case, who found the right elements to create the parts, to put it together, to make it do what it does. So, hence, there must have been a creator. Well, here we have a planet, we have a universe, we have human beings, we have other species, plants and rocks and trees and this and that and the other. There must have been one. But it isn't about even discussing or debating that issue, because that sidetracks us from the whole aspect of this aspect of the brilliance of all in a fusion that comes fully alive with inspiration. And inspiration is sort of like the lifeblood, so to speak. I mean, you talked about it before, where you have inspiration and then you have action, and the inspiration moves you into action.
Yeah. And when you talk about creation, the other thing I would like to just throw out there is, let's just say there is an awareness that brings forth creation. So that way we don't have to, figure out who, what, where, how.
Mm-hmm.
But there's a consciousness, an awareness that brings this forward. And so it fuses all of these different aspects. And it comes up with a beautiful brilliance that we can see. And creation happens in many different ways.
Yeah.
So when we're thinking about inspiration, and you and I, we know about the art, so we're talking about that. And I know that frequencies I bring forward and channel and energies and blessings I bring forward, it's still creation, whether it has a physical form or not. But then also people come together and create. And it may not be a thing. It may not be that they come together to create a building, but they come together to create community that is fluid. And it's something that comes into being that wouldn't normally evolve on its own without the inspiration.
Mm.
The awakening, revelation, the transformation is causing something to come into being, to be created, because of the inspiration. And that temple, as I'm describing it, brings that forward in a very innovative, beautiful, and harmonic way.
Just a reminder, these temples are not in any particular order, but these next two temples, they seem, to me, Lumari, to go hand in hand. The temple of generosity and the temple of abundance. I think that's an interesting synchronicity there.
Yes. Well, and we want those. We want abundance and we want generosity. And both of those are very open. Now, all of the temples and all the energies of inspiration, so that everybody knows, these are very open. You can move into them. There's no, like, crazy guidelines that you have to be like this in order to have inspiration. Or, you have to know. You have to be aware. You have to participate with the awakening, revelation, and transformation. But when you look at generosity, how many different ways can this play? And in the temple of generosity, the divine is being generous with you. Now, you can play in that generosity as well, but this is about expansion. It is about encouraging you to move into a greater part of who you are. And the love and the kindness and the generosity in this world allows you and encourages you to pursue your vision and your dreams. And that's what inspiration is.
Well, because we are short on time, we're going to wrap things up on this edition of Tell Me Your Story by talking about how we can explore inspired action. Where do you want to explore and receive more inspiration in your life, Lumari?
Well, that's a really good question. So I'm going to be really funny, which you know I always am. I'm going to tell everybody who's listening, I want you to answer that question that Richard just asked. Send him an email, a text, whatever it is, and tell him where you want to explore inspiration in your life. Where do you want to play? Where do you want to find a magical moment and engage that energy in your life? And we're not going to say it doesn't need to be the most heaviest thing where you're going to lead your country into whatever.
Mm-hmm.
It can be anything. Where is inspiration going to inspire you? It could be inspiring you to listen to people in a different way.
So
it could be inspiring. Take your kids on a trip that you never thought you'd take them on.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it can be inspiring you to do anything. Where is that? And isn't that going to be a blast?
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. Well, we need to wrap things up here with Living Inspired with Lumari. We encourage you to go to our website, lumari.com. You can order the book. You can also get your free meditation. It's a free gift just to put in your email address and follow the prompts. And we're going to pick up next week with a new book by Lumari. And we're going to talk about that next week. But Lumari, I want to thank you so much for bringing this information to us. And I'm really hopeful that folks will avail themselves of the information that we have been talking about today and find out more about it.
Yes, definitely. And contact me, because if you're inspired to reach out and see where you want to play, where you want to grow, where you want to expand, that's why I'm on this planet. To share all this gorgeous wisdom and bring more joy and inspiration in all of our lives. And, of course, to talk to Richard.
And I enjoy talking with you too, Lumari. And my best to your partner, your husband there, and for him allowing us to have this time each week to share with the listeners. And we will be back next week for this continuing special edition of Tell Me Your Story, 9 a.m. on Wednesdays following the news, and streaming live at that time at richarddugan.com. This program. Also podcasts on SoundCloud, iTunes, TuneIn Radio, Spotify, Stitcher, Player FM, Blueberry, YouTube as well, where you can listen to and watch the programs, the podcasts, the video casts. We hope you'll subscribe as well as click a notification so that when a new conversation is posted, you will be notified. If you'd like to support the work that we are doing, to be a part of this energetically, we would greatly appreciate that. We do have a PayPal account. It is there for your security as well as ours. And just put in my email address, richard@richarddugan.com, and also take some time during this decade of perfect vision, the 2020s, to spend some time in meditation, going into that quiet, peaceful, calm, still place, listening to that still, small voice of inspiration, I do believe. And until our next broadcast, podcast, videocast, we want to thank you again for joining us here, not only on this special edition, but others. But until we get together again, love to Lal. Jeanette, I am listening. Dad, continue to be happy. Smokey, I'll see you on the other side. To my dear friend Zorro, aho, aho.